Hi guys, I'm Ed from Gunmark TV, and today I'm having a look at this little rifle from Ruger. It's part of the American series of rifles which they offer, which consists of quite a few different models and loads of calibers from 223 all the way up to 450 Bushmaster. So quite an interesting selection really. Here in the UK, Viking Arms bring them in, and they offer three models. So the first and most expensive at just over £1,000 is the Hunter, which comes with a Magpul Hunter stock, hence the name, and they offer it with a 20-inch tube in 6.5 Creedmoor. The next model is the Ranch, which is this one, and all of the calibers come with just over a 16-inch tube, and you've got a choice of 7.62 by 39, 223/556, and 300 Blackout, which is what this one's chambered in. Next up, you've got the Predator line, which is got the same stock as this but in moss green. They come with a 20-inch tube, and you can get 6.5 Creedmoor, 204, 223, and 22/250. So Viking Arms have covered most of the sort of choices. The little Ranch starts about £717, which isn't bad, and it's quite an interesting little tool, so I thought I'd take you through the features. Right, so starting from the front of the rifle, we have a 16-inch tube, or just over 16 inches, threaded 5/8 at the muzzle, and it comes with a metal thread protector. The profile of the barrel I would sort of class as medium. Starts at 18.5 millimeters at the muzzle, tapering its way up to just under 30 millimeters at the barrel nut here. Barrel nut forwards, it's completely free floated, a nice healthy amount, which helps mitigate stock and barrel contact during use, which is good. The action, as you can see, this one's got a Picatinny rail fitted. This is in fact a factory fitted Picatinny rail. Comes with a rifle, which is great because it saves you a bit of money, and also makes scope fitting a doddle, which is nice. The action itself uses a 3-lugged bolt, which gives you a nice 70-degree throw. And as you can see, there's plenty of room between the bolt handle and the eyepiece of the scope, which just helps make the action sort of quick and easy to use. In use, I found the action a bit agricultural to begin with. This was a brand new rifle out of the box, and I found when the magazine was loaded up, it sort of felt like it was dragging a bit on the round, in the magazine, backwards and forwards. But all you do is work the gun deliberately, so deliberate actions forward and back, and operations flawless. So overall, that's an effective action, which the more you use it, the nicer it becomes to use. The bolt release catch is on this side of the rifle, just a standard sprung tab, easy to use. Control wise, the rifle has a really nice tang mounted safety, which are popular because they're just easy to see and use. Forward for fire, rear for safe, no bolt lock. The bolt shroud shows just underneath a cocked action indicator, which is just a small silver tab that pops out. This can obviously be seen or felt at night time, which is nice, which is ideal for the hunters. The action is mated to Ruger's Marksman trigger, which looks remarkably similar to Savage's AccuTrigger, in that it's got a safety fin within the trigger blade. So when the rifle's cocked and you try and pull the trigger without activating the safety fin, it won't do anything. So you have to depress that safety fin all the way before the trigger will go. So that's always good. The main selling point being that it's user adjustable. So you just take the rifle out of the stock, and you can adjust the trigger from between 3 and 5 pounds. And this rifle out of the box came with a trigger pull of 3 pound 10 ounces, which was fine. In use, I really liked it because the fin sort of feels like the first stage of a second stage trigger, if you know what I mean, loosely. And then a very small amount of creep and then a very consistent break each time, which means that it's easy to extract accuracy from the rifle, I found. So very pleasant, and the blade's quite wide as well because it has to accommodate the fin, so that's a nice touch as well. Feed is from a AR type, in this case PMag, which comes with the rifle. I believe this was a design update from Ruger. I believe you had to use one of their mags previously, and now they've given you one of these, which is proven design. I don't think I need to go into too much detail of those. The best bit is you can buy different capacities, so 20 or 30 round, and they're readily available and cheap to buy. That fits into this polymer magwell here. So in fact the bottom metal, obviously they've incorporated the trigger guard into the moulding of stock, and then there's sort of this separate module which is the magazine well, and this is friction fit and then secured by the 2 action screws. What I liked about it in use is the mag release catch. You just extend your finger from the trigger and press the button, and I also like the fact that the magazine just drops freely when you press it, so you can just then slot another one straight in. You don't have to pull it out or faff around. Another interesting thing to note is the follower in the magazine actually acts as a bolt hold open catch, so once you run out, you know you've run out, and you need to change the mag. Some people will like that, some people won't, but that's personal preference. I don't see it as an issue because once you're out, it doesn't really matter. You can just push down on the follower and close the bolt on top if you want to. So moving on to the stock, it's a synthetic sporter. It only comes in this colour, which is flat dark earth, and as a rule it's sort of a petite stock. The dimensions or proportions are quite petite. Up front you've got the fore end extends from the action by about 9.5 inches. It's got a rounded bottom. It comes with sling stud pre-fitted, and then you've got these raised sections for grip which sort of have stippling in between, and a thumb groove as well on each side, which makes it very comfortable for sort of the leading hand hold. Towards the rear you've obviously got the pistol grip here, this is where it really feels quite small in my hands. It's ambidextrous design, it's got swells, it's got raised grip, but you know, there's only just enough to get hold of really on there, but it is very comfortable and perfectly usable. Moving back, you've got your standard sort of butt, as with a lot of these designs. A little low for me in relation to eye position behind the scope, so I'd probably fit a rear bag or something, a butt bag on there, just to raise it up a little bit. Length of pull with this 1-inch rubber back pad is 13.75 inches, which is adequate. Again, I'd probably have it a little bit longer if I could, but that's only because of my height. The important part of this rifle, bearing in mind that it's a sort of 700-pound rifle over here, is that it's inside in the bedding area of the stock. They've actually included 2 metal bedding blocks that are integrated into the bedding area. So the action screws underneath come up, secure the magazine well, and then come up through the metal bedding blocks, and then you can bolt down the action into that and torque those bolts up. So a real solid setup. I was also quite impressed to see that along the entire length of the fore end there's actually a lattice structure all the way along, which really firms up the stock. So overall the stock is, although a bit plasticky when you tap it, is quite grippy in texture and really solid. So you can't even squeeze the 2 sides together at all, and you really have to press to get that barrel to move down in the channel as well. So really good job by Ruger on the stock there. So you know, that's definitely a thumbs up feature for me. Right, so for the test I fitted a Wildcat Evo moderator to keep the noise down a bit, and Viking Arms distribute Leupold in the UK, so they kindly sent me this little 3-9x40 and a set of mounts. Now normally I like a bit more magnification as it helps extract a bit more accuracy out of the rifles that I test, but during the first sort of part of the test when I'm sort of handling the rifle, manoeuvring it, a bit of dry fire, different positions, etc. It really starts to make sense because it you know, before you put on the moderator and the bipod, it's such a light, handy rifle. I mean, naked, the rifle only weighs 5.9 pounds, I think, and so and then any weight that you start adding, obviously towards the front, it changes the weight distribution in that direction. But even with these parts added, it's so handy and manoeuvrable, which really makes it a joy to use. Rather than having to heft round I shoot a lot of chassis rifles and you always have to sort of heft them about, whereas it's nice to use something sort of small, light and handy. Moving on, the ammunition was supplied by Raid Trade UK and in the form of some Remington fodder. I had 2 loadings to try, the 120 grain, which was obviously the supersonic offering, and a 220 grain, which was a subsonic offering. In use, the supersonic was what I used first, straight away, sub-MOA groups at 110 yards. They averaged, 3-shot groups these were, they averaged between 0.7 and 0.8 inches, and then the more I used it, these dropped into the 0.6s. So with you know, trying different selections of ammo or reloading, I'm very certain you get to that half-inch mark, which really goes a long way to, you know, showing the performance potential of the rifle. So I was very pleased with those results. I then moved on to the subsonic, and having never used 300 Blackout before, I was really looking forward to that. And yes, the report was, you know, very low, no recoil really, but I couldn't really get a group with them, to be honest. Now, because the rifle had already proven itself with a supersonic, I just sort of came to the conclusion that this particular rifle did not like that ammunition, but I'm confident, given the results from supersonic, that with a bit of reloading or different ammo choice, I'm sure you'd find a better performing subsonic load. And speaking to some other writers and whatnot who've used Blackout, they've experienced the same thing. So I wouldn't read into that too much. But what I did like about Blackout was, obviously, like I said, there's no recoil, and also because there's very little powder used, very little heat generated, which means that you can shoot the rifle for longer before fatigue. So you're not assaulted by a load of sound, not a load of heat. The rifle's nice and lightweight to handle, minimal recoil, and you can just shoot it all day. Which sort of brings me to my next point, which was, where does 300 Blackout as a cartridge really fit in the UK? Because I'm not really sure. Well, I wasn't sure to begin with. Any hunting use, I would just, you know, I would stick with a 223. Yes, the subsonic is appealing because of obviously the lack of sound, but obviously the projectile is very, very slow muzzle velocity, and then loopy trajectory is the result, and then poor expansion on target as well, which isn't really ideal for any sort of hunter or predator control. So yes, I would opt for a 223 for most sort of vermin or sort of small deer tasks over a 300 Blackout any day. However, saying that, if I was shooting this at a club where you're regularly just, you know, shooting at 100 yards or something like that, and you just wanted a sort of capable, affordable, relaxing rifle to shoot, and you wanted to shoot all day long, then I think 300 Blackout's great, because it's just so easy to use and enjoy. So well worth your consideration if that's what you're after, and probably pretty cheap to reload as well. So overall, I think Ruger have done a really good job with this. I'm very impressed with the stock. You know, that is built properly. The action is solid, reliable, does exactly what it says on the tin. I like the touch of the magazine choice. That's good. Makes it a fun rifle, having a decent capacity, and then obviously you've got other options for that. Size wise, obviously the Ranch with the 16-inch tube, it's only got an overall length of 36 inches, and put a Modi on and it only goes up to 41.5. That just makes it fun to handle, easy to use, which is a refreshing change for me from the sort of chassis rifles and things that I use. So yeah, really good option. And if you need a longer barrel or a slightly different caliber, then you've got the choice of the Predator. If you want to spend a bit more money, you can jump up to the Hunter. So there's plenty to choose from, something for everyone, and well worth your consideration. So that's the Ruger American Ranch rifle.